it is a negotiator looking to close deals, something that it hasn't been able to do so in the past, but now it will be viewed as a negotiator looking to close deals. And the second other important fact and the big takeaway before I get in Scott Lucas is that it sets a precedent as to how companies looking to diversify away from China, it will further boost India's credentials. And Scott Lucas, let me ask you on that in terms of the upside that we are looking at. One is the upside for the India-UK bilateral trade that will really boost. And second is the upside for India as a big destination for global investment, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if we go beyond the UK, at this moment, the effect of Donald Trump's tariffs, and I'm sure you all know this, is that Apple, for example, who produces the iPhone in China, is looking to move production to India because there's a much lower tariff on Indian goods going into the US rather than China. But if you think about it, and we take the US to the side, if you're a UK company and you're looking at where you could set up factories, if you're looking at where you could set up your high-tech investment, do you go into the US market, which is a very uncertain market now in terms of the amount of burden that you might have to pay, given what the Trump administration is doing, or do you go into an India, which is moving from, and let's be honest here, is moving from what has been a relatively high tariff country to one which is looking to reduce those tariffs. Again, I have to emphasize that while the UK and India, are not completely dependent on Washington, each of these countries had investment interests, but they could not get the breakthrough until February. They resumed the talks. Why did they resume the talks in February? In part because the Labour government has finally settled in the UK, but in part because they see what's happening with the US. And this is the effect of Donald Trump holding up that magic chart saying, look, if you want to sell your products in the United States, you're going to have to pay a 26% tariff or a 30 or a 40% tariff. Is that both Indian companies and UK companies thought we need to start looking at each other. And importantly, not just in terms of goods, where a lot of the discussion is around, but also in terms of services. And there is a room for a great deal of expansion for both countries in the services sectors, which tended to be led in recent years by the United States.
All right. In fact, Scott, as we go through and await the fine print from the two sides in terms of what the trade pact really is all about. Well, what I can say is that in terms of, if we're to talk in pounds, the UK-India total trade last year was about 41 billion pounds and is expected to, of course, grow at a fast pace. And in fact, the boost by the trade pact could be an additional 25 billion pounds a year by 2040. So a 15-year upside is that it could be 25 billion pounds every year if the trade pact does come through. So that's the kind of upside that is available immediately for the two sides. We are talking about external factors. We're talking about the fact that there is a push that's come in because of Donald Trump and his trade tariffs. But one also needs to now focus in terms of what it means for the exporters of the two countries, because when you talk about trade pacts, it boils down to first that areas where you want tariffs to come down, areas and industries where you want to protect your domestic manufacturers. That's really the balance between getting that trade pact going. Professor Lucas, for the UK, whiskey will be a big upside along with a couple of other sectors.
Absolutely. I mean, the UK effectively shut itself off from the European market. It, in effect, imposed a tariff on its own goods going into the EU when it withdrew from what was a zero tariff area, a common market. So again, the UK, in effect, had isolated itself. Now, they're not going to go back into the EU. They're not even going to go back into a single European market. You have to look elsewhere.
In fact, Scott, stay with us, because I want to quickly now get in another important guest joining me as well to talk more about this. His first thoughts Jasper Reed, who's a British entrepreneur, joining us to talk more about what this means for entrepreneurs, for businesses like you, Jasper. What is the kind of potential that you expect for businesses from this trade pact?
Hi. Listen, I think it's great news. I mean, hats off to both of the team. This has been a decade in the making. These are not easy things to do. So everybody should pause to congratulate themselves. Look, I think here it's a big trading relationship anyway. This is a great signal. It will affect certain sectors. But I think more importantly, in an uncertain world, it's a very, very clear statement strategically of the UK and India becoming ever closer aligned.
And in terms of specific sectors where you feel the upside would be more, the potential would be most, Jasper?
Well, I think that's well trailed. I mean, I think there are, if you're looking at the movement of people to the UK, I think that will benefit people clearly, and this has been well advertised. UK whiskey exporters will do well. Basically, it pushes down tariffs across a wide range of areas, and I think that's very good news in the sense that historically India has had high tariff rates, and that's been a barrier to importers into India.
Very quickly, I want to ask this to both of you, which is that specifically, the one thing in the statement that stands out is that both countries now will be able to explore areas where they can produce together for global markets. Which are these sectors are we talking about? Are we talking about semiconductors or something more old school? Jasper, to you first.
Well, I was writing about this today. In essence, if you take this back to the core competencies in the country, both countries have spectacular research, education, high-end science and tech capability. And I am very, very optimistic that both markets can find ways to work together. Because in the end, there's a whole bunch of needs in Western markets like the UK, and there's a whole bunch of skills and capability in India. So for me, the much, much bigger game is strategic deals where intellectual property, movement of talent, hardcore research in AI, in neuroscience, in quantum. These are fantastic areas. They're much, much bigger than Scotch.
Of course, that is the first low-hanging fruit, not so low-hanging for the UK trade negotiators, but definitely there's a huge development that has happened in the India-UK trade talks have finalized. They've led to a trade pact, the first in a series, hopefully, given that there are many other negotiations that are on for India. On that note, completely timed out in this edition of India Global. Thanks so very much for watching.
I think that there's something that's always there that I just need to uncover. Like, I know I'm gonna get there, but I have to be patient with myself. That's probably the scary part for me. And it's okay, like, if you completely pivot and change. You have to be comfortable with that.
What's wrong with the car?
It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA.
Ah.
Bombay mix.
Because the AA has more expert patrols across the country, you'll be back on the road in no time. No wonder more people choose the AA. Join today.
Protect your dog from fleas and ticks for 1 month with an easy-to-give chewable tablet.
We're exploring too. Could you please bring back my shoe? There's nothing in between us.
Front Pro from the makers of Frontline. Because nothing should come between you.
I urgently need to ask for your help on behalf of animals at risk right now. With the pandemic came a surge in pet ownership. And sadly, we're now seeing a serious rise in neglect, cruelty, and abuse. Our services are being stretched to the limit. To make matters worse, our costs are soaring too. But we refuse to let animals suffer. So please, Act now to help rescue the growing number of animals who've never needed us more. Please call or text the number on screen now to give £2 a month to the RSPCA. In one of the toughest times we have ever experienced, your gift will make all the difference to animals. You could help provide more life-saving treatment, food, shelter, and the loving care that many have never known. We know there are millions of you who, like us, care deeply and won't stand by while animals are suffering. We have to reach those trapped in a life of abuse and neglect before it's too late. Because for many, the RSPCA is their only hope. But we can only come to the rescue with the support of people like you. So please, will you help us be there no matter what? Call 0800 313 4392 or text RSPCA to 78866 to start your monthly gift today. Thank you.
This government has fulfilled all its promises and gets ready for the 2026 polls. The opposition hits out, says law and order and corruption are key issues. Singer Sonu Nigam finally apologizes for his remarks at the Bengaluru concert. Will Kannada groups not let the issue rest? The apology after strong retractions in Karnataka. First up, this